one, MEDFAST. Medfast.
Okay.
Welcome back, dear listeners. This is Seeta Begui on Viewpoint with Seeta and Friends right here in sunny Cocoa, Florida. We are heard all the time, every Monday on AM 1510. Our dial is WWBC, 1FM 94.7, 99.9, 100.7, and we are also heard on the web.
At 1510wwbc.com.
We sit here every Monday and we talk about things that are going on right here in Brevard County, Florida. We speak about issues nationally, things that are going on around the world, and we use our voice in a responsible manner to help our universe. I tell you, Paul, sometimes I'm so grateful that I am on this earthly journey called life, and that I am able to use my life experience, having 18 sisters and brothers, that I'm able to use the history of the women that came before me and the men, and laid the groundwork for me to come to the United States from a tiny little village in Trinidad and Tobago and have a voice in the greatest country in the world.
That's right.
And I am grateful to you and our station for giving me that voice.
Oh, it's our pleasure.
So, I belong to ABWA in this group, and I met my friend Alie Komara, whose mother I used to be friends with a long time ago. And she had talked to me about coming on my show, and it's turned out that Alie is doing some wonderful things right here in Brevard County, Florida. And she's teamed up with my friend Drew Warren, who is the executive director of the Community of Hope. And we talked about hope earlier in our show. Where there's life, there's hope. And I'm so grateful that they're here. Drew is the executive director, and it's a nonprofit dedicated to providing housing and housing-related services to homeless families with minor children. He earned his bachelor's degree at Stetson University, and he's a master's from right here from FIT. So I could say he's a local fella.
Yes, ma'am.
That's right.
I
And
grew
Alie,
up here in Indiana, actually.
that's right. And Alie grew up in Tortoise Island and Satellite Beach, where my kids grew up, and she moved away from home. She went to LA. She did a little bit of film production, and now she's returned home, and she started an organization called Space Swap to create positive changes in our local community. And how many times have we spoken to people that are retired, or young people who have something to offer, and they don't do anything? They don't give back. People have time, and sometimes all it takes is a couple of hours per week, or maybe a couple of hours per month to do something positive in our community, and they don't. So Alie, I'm grateful that you're doing it.
Thank you so much.
So tell us a little bit about what exactly is Space Swap.
Yeah, so thank you for having me on the show today, Seeta. I feel super grateful. Thanks for coming out today, Drew. And we have our girl Ellie in the back. She's also on our Space Swap team. She's recording this, so you guys are able to see the video footage later. So Space Swap is a repurposing renaissance. And we love that word repurpose because that's exactly what we're doing. We're getting people to donate clothing and in exchange go home with clothing that they find. So it's a way to get away from fast fashion and Renaissance because just like the Renaissance era, we're embarking on a new age of creativity, creative activists that are fed up with the direction of this world, and they're trying to make positive change and positive impact. So Space Swap is an effort to help reduce our ecological footprint by creating a community where we can meet up, trade clothing, build confidence with some new swag, and relieve clothing that doesn't fit in your life anymore. So metaphorically, it's like you're out with the old, in with the new, my mom would always say.
Yeah. But you know what? It's interesting because so many of us do have old clothing.
Oh, yeah.
And when you look at the landfills,
Oh, yeah.
and you look what's happening with the material in those landfills and how long it's taken to disintegrate, you're like, well, wait a minute, this is a great idea because your clothes will be recycled and reused, and you're you're helping Mother Earth.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So what is the Space Swap? We live on the Space Coast. What is the Space Swap mission?
So it's grown a lot from a seed, and it's turned into something so much greater than what I thought it would be. So not only is it a place to repurpose and recycle our clothing and help positively impact the environment that way, but we're also giving artists a platform to come and create and inspire and have a safe space really where they can come and be together. So we're gonna have musicians, we had a couple DJs at the first one, live painters, and on top of that, our main mission is to give local nonprofits that are much bigger than we are a platform to be seen and heard by the community, and really drag attention to make it cool and hip and fun to give back to the community and to get involved in local nonprofit work.
So where are you getting your referrals for people to bring the clothing? Because I mean, you're not only looking at vintage clothing or cocktail dresses or t-shirts and jeans, you look at any kind of clothing, right? And then you're just giving that back.
Exactly. Yep.
So where would you, where do you reach out to people? How would you, besides being on Viewpoint with Seeta and Friends?
Sure.
There's a lot of people in this county that their closets are overflowing with stuff. I know I have some stuff for you. So where do you get all the people from?
So we're spreading our information like wildfire through Instagram. If you follow space_swap on Instagram, we have, I think this morning we had around 230 followers, which is a lot because they're active followers. So on social media, you have active followers who really tune in, they get all of the information, and you have inactive followers. You know, they follow an account and they're like, oh, whatever.
Yeah.
So we
the
have
trolls, some of them.
Sure. We have an active following on social media as well as word of mouth, and we kind of just let people know what's going on and where they can bring the clothing, which is going to be at New Vision's Full Service Nursery right across from Intercoastal Brewery in the Ogali Arts District.
Neat. So there's so many things you could be doing with your time. Why this particular charity? What inspired you to start the Space Swap?
So I think the biggest part is at the beginning of the pandemic, and even prior to that when I was living in LA, I saw a horrific homelessness and human suffering that growing up in Tortoise Island, in a little bubble here, and God bless, I love the Space Coast, but I wasn't exposed to that type of suffering that I saw in the streets of LA, and it did something. It changed my life direction, it changed something in my heart, and it changed my purpose and kind of what I want to do in this lifetime, and that's to help people and give back. And
you're absolutely correct, because I know when I tell my kids my story of me growing up back home in Trinidad, and I would say, well, you know, I had one dress, we used recycled clothing, recycled shoes. I didn't have my first pair of shoes till I was probably 10 or 12 years old. They look at me like I have 10 heads, because in America today, children are so entitled.
Sure.
And I don't mean to say you were entitled, but I know my children was. My children certainly was, you know, with people who paid their car insurance and made sure their college plans were paid, and they had everything.
Yeah.
And that's why I think it's very important for parents, mentors, people to take their children out of their neighborhoods and volunteer to other places, other nonprofits, maybe take them to a different church, take them to a camp, let them learn. You know what, I think it'd be good for people to even live in different countries, and then they would see how great the United States really is. And that brings me to Drew, who's sitting here and with Community of Hope. So Drew, how did you get involved with Alie Komara and Space Swap?
Well, it's kind of interesting. We just happened to run in a similar circle. Our circles met up, and Alie is young and bright and has so much to give, and I do some work with another charity called Ready for Life. We do a shelter program that helps the Ready for Life clientele, which are the 18 to 24-year-old kids who are experiencing homelessness, oftentimes had difficult upbringings or went through foster care, and so we do a little work with them. And Alie did actually work with them on the first Space Swap event, and you know, I just got to know Alie, and I realized that she has so much to give, and she is just really what we need for the future, not just in Brevard, but for the country, is this generation to come and say, we want to change the world. We really want to do something different, and to bring these creative ideas like the space swap to do that.
Yeah, and we all talk about getting the young people involved. I know I belong to a group called the Brevard Caribbean Association, and they are trying their best. Paul, they were here on our show recently, and the guys were talking about how to get more young people involved. And here we have Alie Komara, who is beautiful and bright and energetic, and you bring a good voice. So how can we clone you? How can we
thank
clone
you.
you?
You guys are gonna make me cry.
But you know what it is? It's like, I mean, you went to LA, you saw the homelessness, you saw the need for people to reach out. And when you go for a job interview, if you don't have the right clothing, if you don't have resources to buy a suit, a pair of shoes, if you don't have, people look at you, right? Because appearances is everything.
It is. It's
And
an
so
extension of yourself.
Right, and so you saw that. I mean, I know that from experience, because I know when I was a little girl, I was a little dark Indian girl that not everybody wanted to be my friend, because I come from a culture where skin color, unfortunately, was a big thing. And I also knew I didn't have socks and shoes, and I didn't have 10 cents. Back then, you could buy a soda for 10 cents. I didn't have that kind of a life. So I know how it feels when you don't have things, and I'm so grateful there's people like you that are doing it. So what can we do here in Brevard to help Space Swap?
So the biggest thing is support, either through attending or donations, whether that be clothing or funds, volunteering, sharing through word of mouth, or bringing awareness via social media. And again, I mean, this is definitely geared towards a younger generation. I want to say all of our volunteers, we have about 15 solid volunteers, all under the age of 25. So, but it's growing. I mean, people of all ages are getting on board, and it's kind of like a movement, and we're really excited about that. So if you guys want to go ahead and follow us at space_swap on Instagram. We're in the process of making a TikTok. We're in the process of making a website, and we're trying to hit the social media hard, because that's how people are doing a lot of networking these days. But really just attending our events and seeing the magic in person, because I don't know about anyone else who has attended, but it feels amazing. I mean, we're gonna have yoga there. We're gonna have Caribbean food. We're gonna have all kinds of amazing, positive things to, again, just link the community. And
I could see Drew helping you with this, because you have a lot of young people that you mentor and counsel.
Absolutely.
So tell us a little bit about what you do, and how you could get your people, the people you to link up with Alie, and how can they help her?
So what's really neat about what Alie is doing is that this whole idea of making it acceptable and almost desirable to have vintage clothing or clothing that's been used, and to be able to swap, really fits so well with what our families need. We serve primarily families who are homeless, and they have children, and these children range, from brand new babies to 18 years old, 17, 18 years old, and it does become very difficult to clothe your family, to make sure that they have all of what they need. And I think if you not only can have an opportunity to get really nice things through Space Swap, but also, to kind of change that narrative that you need to have the newest thing to be cool. And I think that's just something that the new generation, the younger generation, is really kind of spearheading, is this idea that, cool comes from the inside. I think that's kind of a neat thing.
Yeah, and we all talk about human beings, right? We have needs. All of us have needs and wants, and one of the things we have, we want to be able to feed our families. We want to be able to clothe our families. We want to be able to house our families, and we also want to be able to educate our families. But we have to cover our bodies, and that's what clothes comes in. And Drew, you do a lot with the homeless.
Yes.
Tell us about the homeless situation here in Brevard, because we're hearing of families that are still living in their cars. We're hearing of, because of COVID, a lot of people lost their jobs. And thank God some of them got the stimulus. They were able to, have a little change in their hand. But what are you hearing on the home front?
Well, homelessness is certainly really taken center stage in the last few months, couple of years, with COVID and people losing jobs and people not having the livelihood to be consistent. We've definitely seen an increase in homelessness, and some of the programs that are right now available have kept people housed that might otherwise have lost their housing, but they're also temporary. And so these systems that are in place to kind of bolster people and to keep people afloat aren't going to be there in another year. And it's important that we as a community come together and say, in Brevard County especially, the county that put man on the moon, there's no excuse for a child being homeless.
Right.
And
that's why it's so important to see a young woman like Alie Komara that's taken it upon her shoulders to take her little life experience that she's had, and I know she's my children's age, to do something. So you, Alie, who else? So talk to us a little about the event itself.
Sure.
Tell us what to expect at Space Swap, because you have a lot of musicians, you have a lot of artists, you have a lot of people now. I do have booths, so set the stage for us.
Sure. Okay, setting the stage.
Yeah.
Welcome to the theater.
Yeah.
So it's going to take place at New Vision's Full Service Nursery. Thank you. Shout out to Michael Cole who made that happen. He owns this beautiful, beautiful plot of land with flowers and beautiful string lights that will be dim with the musicians underneath for people to enjoy, and there will be a patch of land in the back for people to sort through clothing and look through the clothing. And we're going to have Drew and his team set up in a booth where you can go speak to them about Community of Hope and see what's going on with them. We're going to have our own in-house art collective that formed through Space Swap called Chaotic Neutral Collective. Ellie, who's videotaping this right now, is actually one of the co-founders of that. We're going to have Amanda Wolf teaching yoga for everyone who is inside. We're going to have DJ Cat Daddy, Vaughn Slider, Skylar Green, Las Sardinias, The Speed Spirits, and Kristen Warren, who actually headlined the Space Coast Music Festival. So already these artists have a huge, huge following. They're all local artists, and they're all getting involved, volunteering their time because they believe in this cause as much as we do. So
well, you're giving them an opportunity to showcase their platform as well.
Absolutely.
And so of course we need the address. And what about security? A lot of people who want to come. Is it a family-friendly event?
Very
family-friendly. Talk about the address, the date, and parking, security, that kind of stuff.
Yes. So like I said, it's going to be at New Visions in Ogali Arts District. It's going to be the Saturday before Christmas, Saturday night. So that is December 18th. It goes from 4 p.m. till 9 p.m. So those should be family-friendly hours. We're not going to be serving any alcohol on the premises. So again, family-friendly. We should be having kids' clothes. So if anyone's listening, we need more kids and babies' clothes to be donated, as well as men's clothes, because we had predominantly female clothes, adult female clothes donated last time. 10% of all of the tickets, 10% of the proceeds are going straight to Community of Hope, and tickets will be $10 at the door.
Okay, and what about pets? Can they bring their pets?
I don't see why not.
Okay, and food? Will there be like a food, a food truck maybe?
Not a food truck. So we're going to actually have Jamaican food served for donation.
Wow.
So that will be there. We'll have NA beverages, so sodas, waters.
So if you pay the $10 at the door when you get in, do you then have to purchase the clothing?
No.
Or do you just go and get the clothing?
You just go swap it.
Wow, that's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Drew, this is great for you guys too. And you're going to have a booth there, because I'm sure young people will come in that, and the thing is, there's such a stigma attached to homelessness and mental health in this country, right? And it's so good that you're going to have a booth there so you could talk to people, right?
Absolutely.
And counsel them.
Yep, and direct them to services, because if we don't provide it, someone in the community is providing the service. The difficulty is a lot of people don't know where to turn And so, we need to kind of educate the population and make sure everybody knows, where people can turn if they're experiencing homelessness or afraid of they're going to experience homelessness.
Right. It really takes a village, doesn't it?
Yes, it does.
So, Drew, give our listeners on Viewpoint with Seeta and Friends, Mr. Drew Warren, your website for someone to check out Community of Hope.
It's www.hopeofbrevard.com.
Now, did you come up with that name, or did somebody else? Because it's so true. A community of hope.
Yeah.
It gives you this feeling that we're all in this together. It's all one big circle, and each of us are responsible for a slice of that to help each other.
And as your previous guest was saying, when it comes to, sorry to kind of be a tangent here,
Yeah.
but about ADHD, I think that it's the same kind of issue all around. That sense of connection, that sense that you're not alone, that sense that you're in this together is so important. And I think that's especially the case with homeless people and homeless families. They really need to feel like there's a community that understands them, that they are part of.
Yeah, especially now when it's coming up to the holidays, right? And we put such an emphasis on the holidays. It's a family time, and people are facing such hardships right now. So many of them are wondering, am I going to have a Thanksgiving? Am I going to have Christmas presents? Would I have a tree to put presents under for my children? And so what you're doing, you're giving people a lot of hope as well. So Alie, when people come to the event, you pay the $10 at the door.
That's right.
You get in. There's a lot of clothing. People can go and swap the clothing. What about shoes and purses and things like that? Is it just only for material clothes or anything else?
Sure, we accept accessories as well because everyone needs a little zhuzhing up their outfits.
Right.
So yeah, we accept accessories, and we accept it all. We're not accepting items at this time, just strictly things that you would wear on your body or be carrying around with you, such as a purse or a backpack.
So let's say somebody wants to get involved with this event, but then in the future, I think you should be partnering up with other businesses. Do you have a future ahead of you, a vision that businesses in Brevard or businesses anywhere in the United States can partner up with you to provide services, do more things, and maybe next year from having it here in Ogali, you have a bigger area? I mean, you have plans for the future, correct?
Sure, absolutely. So this is our second space swap, and we plan to do this quarterly. So we're already getting a musician lineup for the spring because we were overbooked for this one. We love the venue, so I would actually love to keep it humble, keep it in the Ogali Arts District, keep our roots planted at New Visions if Mike will have us. And yeah, I would love to link with more nonprofits in the future, of course, if we align with their morals and their viewpoints and give them a platform as well, and just keep growing and keep expanding and getting the word out. And if we decide to link up with businesses and sponsors in the future, then we would be so blessed to do so.
Are you encouraging people to wear a mask? Is it their choice if they want to wear a mask? Or, is it, with COVID, people are asking questions, right?
Sure. I believe in choice for everything.
Right.
If you want to wear a mask, wear a mask. If you don't want
Right.
to wear a mask, don't wear a mask.
Because you're outdoors.
Sure.
And I'm not going to lie, I don't wear my mask because
Sure.
I'm boosted and I'm outside a lot. But you're right,
Absolutely.
if somebody feels like, hey, I'm more comfortable wearing it, why not? So I really like what you're doing, and I think it's wonderful. But now, how do you guys get compensated? Because this costs money. Everything.
Sure.
We all want to do things, right? But you have to drive your car. You have to get there. You have to get a tent. You have to get people to help. How do you guys get compensated?
I've been spending my own cash the whole time so far, so it's been an investment in this dream. And I believe in it enough to, like you said earlier about putting things out to the universe and it comes full circle. I know that in the future we'll be compensated for this work, and our goal is to be able to compensate our artists in the future through ticket sales and hopefully future business partnerships.
Well, that comes back to my mother used to say, you take small steps, right?
Mm-hmm.
Baby steps. So Drew, I'm really, really grateful that you took the time to come on Viewpoint with Seeta and Friends, and I'm so happy that you linked up with Alie, because it looks like it's going to be a really good partnership for you.
I think so, and I'm really happy to have met Alie and to be able to do this as well. And thank you for having me. I've been on your show one other time, and maybe twice, but one way or the other, it's always great. I
Yes.
appreciate it.
Well, you know what? When people right here in Brevard County, Florida, are putting our county first and our people first, and we all know that there are people who are struggling and facing so many challenges right now, not just because of COVID, but people were facing challenges and struggles before. It's just exacerbated right now. Alie, so we need your phone number and your website for people to contact you so that they could bring more clothing, give you some shoes, purses, donate money, time, and energy. And I think
Absolutely.
people should donate money too. I'd like to see you
Sure.
grow and get bigger. Why not?
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes. So follow our Instagram space_swap, or you can email us at spaceswap.egad@gmail.com for more information. And in the future, we will have a website and everything set up. We're still in the baby stages, and yeah, we're just trying to share the abundance, and hopefully that will come full circle in the future. So,
And I think in the future too, you would have more food trucks and maybe more selection of food.
sure.
That would be good for people who bring their kids, and maybe they'll just make an evening out of it, and
Sure.
Drew would get 10% back
Sure.
of that too. And tell them ahead of time, 10% goes to Community of Hope.
Absolutely.
So, Paul, you know what a wonderful show. We want to say thank you to Jennifer Faust for calling in all the way from Washington D.C. and talking about ADHD. And thank you to Drew Warren and Alie Komara. And I hope the event on the 18th of
Yes.
December
Correct.
from 4 to 9
Mhm.
at the Ogali District is a success. And I will spread the word, and Paul will spread the word. We'll do what we can. We'll be right back here next week on Viewpoint with Seeta and Friends. That was
Thank
really
you
fun.
very
Oh my
much.
That was so much fun.
Thanks, guys.
I can't believe it. This little Alie she's doing such a good job.
I wish I knew more people like that.
I know. We all talk about young people not doing anything, right? But I'm going to see if I can get more people to come.
Seriously, please. Thank you so much.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, thank you. That
I'm
was